Hi 10th graders. Today we're going to be talking about, did you hear it? Stream of consciousness. I was consciously streaming my own lines there. You couldn't hear them though. Anyway, stream of consciousness in modern literature. Yay, modernism. Alright, so let's go here and see what is exactly stream of consciousness. So what is it? It is a flow of thoughts and images which may not always appear to have a coherent structure and cohesion. So again, just like our thoughts that sometimes become mumbled and jumbled because we're thinking of a few things at the same time, this is how stream of consciousness works, how it is portrayed, because it is, again, showing how our conscious is working and how we have a couple things going on at one time, and how, again, reflecting on the idea of modernism, how things are chaotic. Yes, you got it. So, stream of consciousness may weave in and out of time and place, carrying the reader through the lifespan of a character. So this can go in where he's walking down the street and then all of a sudden he's thinking about when he was in first grade, and then going into high school or graduation. So it can come in any time in that person to take him back or her back to any time. Okay, or it can also further along a timeline and incorporate the lives and thoughts of characters from other time periods as well. Also, stream of consciousness is amazing, again, setting up that the chaos of the modern world is that it can go in and out of people, and they can go back in time as well, or carry them forward as well. Pretty exciting. So why do they use it? It is not to confuse U.S. literature students, I promise. They use it for a really amazing purpose, besides to understand the character more, to get a deeper value for the character. But before we get into that, let's talk about kind of how it got brought about. So again, like I talked in the modernism video, modernism stemmed from the ideas of Freud in the early 1900s. Freud really had talking about the ego, the superego, the id. People were really interested in it and understanding human nature, and so writers started to experiment with these concepts as well. So with that, it became a focus on the emotional aspects of a person. So not only just their emotions, but the process of getting to those emotions, explaining why the person had those emotions, and understanding the reactions, the purposes for that. And it all goes through the mind. So you really get to understand a person through that. And that's why literature is so important, because by going through the stream of consciousness of people, you can become sympathetic to people that you have problems with in every day, because you've already met them in a book through modernism. Alright, getting back on track here. Okay, another reason why they use it is it's important character traits are revealed, and it again is exploration of their mind. I mean, for you boys and girls who have always wondered, oh, I'd really like to get into their mind to know if they like me or they understand me, and if they're being real with me. Well, guess what? You can through stream of consciousness. That's the beauty of it, is that you get to understand the workings of the mind by exploring the character through a stream of consciousness. So kind of think of it as a kind of an inner monologue, and that this inner monologue can jump from people to people. Okay, so what does stream of consciousness look like? It's perceptions or impressions. So somebody again is walking down the street. You'll understand in a while why I keep saying walking down the street. So if a character is, let's say, walking down the street, and it's their views of the world. All right. So to understand a person better, you need to, as they say, walk a mile in their shoes. Stream of consciousness allows you to do that through the impressions that the character is getting through walking down the street. Okay, the thoughts are incited by outside sensory stimuli. So again, if a character is walking down the street, something like they see a red drape, then if it brings them back to something, again, it's a stimuli. Like what memories holds that? Again, going back to the subconsciousness. That is why this is so important. Stream of consciousness is so important for characters, is that each character is going to pass the same window, and each character will probably have a different sensory stimuli with that, a different memory, different idea, or might not have any reaction at all because every character is different, just like every person is different. And so it's going into that person's subconsciousness. Fragments of randomness. You guys really loved the line about the cow and Frost's Mending Wall. Okay, again, just bringing out all of your thoughts. You guys say, like I keep saying, you guys say really random things. Okay, that's your that's your consciousness, like bringing things out verbally. So if you just had that inner monologue in your head and kept those random things to yourself so I could continue class, yeah, you would maybe understand stream of consciousness a little bit better because you would be doing it. Disconnected thoughts, again, it's the inner mind working. And so sometimes the writing comes out disconnected. It comes out random. It comes out out of nowhere about a cow or an impression of something. Okay? It's because, again, it's personal to that person's subconscious. So, to understand a little bit better, there is a time gap, the consciousness, after it feels as if it belonged together with the consciousness before it as other part of the same self. So basically what that's meaning is that with that, in this person's mind, all these randomness, all these disconnected thoughts, they come back together. Again, they go around and it will bring that person back to where they started. I'm going to show you an example of that in just a minute, and it's going to be beautiful. Okay? So, also, that the changes from one moment to another in the quality of the consciousness are never absolutely abrupt. It's not, I mean, it can be random, but there is, if you look down, it's leading up to it. Okay? And again, I'm going to go over it. So, stream of conscious writing often lacks correct punctuation or syntax, favoring a looser, more incomplete style. Again, showing how the mind is functioning, not how the grammar police are functioning, but just how the mind works. So the mind does not always put a period in a sentence. Sometimes the mind has run-on sentences. Sometimes the mind speaks in passive voice. Sometimes it speaks in complete broken syntax. So, here is an example I have for you, and we're going to go over it. So let's look at my beautiful PowerPoint example here. So, such fools we all are, she thought, crossing Victoria Street, for heaven only knows why one loves it so. How one sees it, so making it up, building it round one, tumbling it, creating it every moment afresh. But the various frumps, the most dejected of miseries, sitting on doorsteps, drink their downfall, do the same. Can't be dealt with, she felt positive, by acts of Parliament. For that very reason, they love life, in people's eyes, in the swing, tramp, drudge, in the bellow and the uproar, the carriages, motor cars, omnibuses, vans, sandwich men shuffling and swinging, brass bands, barrel organs, and the triumph and jingle and the strange high singing of some aeroplane overhead, was what she loved. Life, London, this moment of June. Okay, so this is an excerpt from Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway, and Virginia Woolf is a British woman who is brilliant with stream of consciousness. So, let's break this down a little bit. I'm sure just by reading along with me, you could definitely tell that there were some syntax issues there. But let's go through. First, I want you to be able to see how it all ties in together, okay? So, such fools we all are, she thought, crossing Victoria Street. Let me make my not so thick. Alright, so she's crossing, walking down the street here. Okay, so we have here, she's walking down the street in London. London. Okay, again, this very moment, what she loved. So we have this kind of sandwiched here, this idea of what she's doing, okay? So she is walking down the street in London. This connects with this, okay? So then we have all of this here in the middle. What do we do with all this? This is definitely stream of consciousness because okay, it's focusing on the emotional, the psychological, and it is revealing to us about the character. And this is definitely an inner monologue here, okay? She is weaving in and out of time and place. So let's look at our Mrs. Dalloway again here. So we have her here in heaven, I'm sorry, in London. And let's change the color here. We'll do orange. Okay, so heaven only knows why one loves it so. Okay, how one sees it, so making it up, building it, round one, tumbling it. Okay, so here she's talking about the buildings, creating it every moment afresh. So this is everything that she's seeing. So she's walking down the street and she's thinking, okay, so they're building a building and they're tumbling a building. The various fronts, the most ejected of miseries sitting on doorsteps. Okay? So this is what she's seeing. She's walking down the street. She's seeing bums. She's thinking, oh, they drink their downfall. Do the same. Can't be dealt with, she felt positive. So again, this is going back to her emotions, feeding kind of back into the stability of it. Saying again, okay, this is what she's feeling. So this is what she's seeing. This is all the sensory, and then it's going back again to what she's feeling. So then again, let's go. Oh, sorry guys. Okay, so we have here again. Sorry, going back to her emotions, her state, Parliament for the very reason, and then again, kind of that disconnected idea of people loving life. So, in people's eyes, in the swing, tramp, trudge, in the bellow, the uproar, again, this is going back to her stimulus, what she is seeing. Alright, so the bellow, the uproar, the carriages, motor cars, omnibus, vans, sandwichmen, shuffling and swinging, brass bands, barrel organs. You hear all that alliteration? How that alliteration is, again, marching that stream of consciousness down, making it rhythmic to try to get you to feel what she is seeing, to feel the stimuli as well, all the traffic, everything. The triumph and the jingle and the strange high singing of some aeroplane overhead. And then it goes back again to her emotions, what she loved. So the thing with stream of consciousness is it's very, again, emotional. And so we have her walking down the street, and then we're thinking, oh, she doesn't really like it. She's seeing these bombs, she's seeing these buildings. There's diction that's very connotative, and you're making assumptions, and then all of a sudden she's seeing again, oh, but all the hubbub of it, all this movement, all of these noises. This is what I love. So I will take the bombs, I will take the buildings, I will take all of it for living life in London. Okay, so how did I get to that assumption of that? This is what it took me down to. Okay? Her walk took me down through all of her thoughts, ending me here. Okay? That is what you need to find when you're reading, is you need to find kind of the reflection on the stimuli. The stimuli is going to be abrasive at times. It's going to be difficult to understand because, I mean, look at all these run-on sentences here. Okay? However, it's getting you to the answer. I mean, just think about how many times you've been trying to figure out something and all these millions and trillions of questions and emotions, and then all of a sudden you find the answer, and then you're calm, and then you're good. So we're going to look at some stream of consciousness in class, yay, on Wednesday, and you're going to then, of course, write your own stream of consciousness. So if you have any questions, you don't really understand the structure or idea of it, please make a comment underneath this video, or if you want to shoot me an email, please always go ahead. Okay, so thank you. Have a wonderful Monday and Tuesday evening.